when you're creating an audio Bible like what we are doing, it's important to have an amazing cast. Okay, so we have that. And then it's important to have an amazing sound design. And by sound design, I mean sound effects, which are created by Foley artists. So you hear them walking, or you hear the wind blowing, or the sea parting. So that's all very, very important. But the third layer of the sound design is the music. Music can make or break you. Think of the movie Jaws. What would that movie be without the unbelievable music score in that movie? And that's important. I mean, when Jim and I were talking about that, we said we have to have a music score that is of that level. You know, that it brings you there. It transports you back to these days. And Jim had been a huge fan, and is still a huge fan, of Stefano Mainetti's work. And Stefano was one of the composers of the Abba Pater music CD with John Paul, and his music is on that, and that's a Sony release, and it did very well. And Jim used to listen to it. In fact, when he was filming the movie The Passion of the Christ, he would be, filming and listening to his iPod of Stefano Mainetti's music, and he said, if we can get Stefano Mainetti to compose our music, we really are going to have something special. And so I reached out to Stefano Mainetti, and I told him that Jim was a huge fan of his, and this is what we were doing, and would you want to do the music? And he said yes. And so we had all of our pieces, all three puzzle pieces: the actors, the sound, and now the music.
It's been a great and a long job. It has taken over 2 years working with different orchestras. I began by reading the New Testament, which was the starting point. We could say our script. The farther on I went, the more I found an incredibly vast amount of emotions at my disposition. And this is not often the case, because when I write a soundtrack for a film, the style of the music is defined by the style of the film itself. And in the Bible it's different, because events of all nature take place, and the musical comment of these events are various and very different from one another. Also the length of the opera made a difference. I had never composed and conducted so many hours of music for one project, and that was just for the New Testament. You can imagine what it was for the Old Testament. In the end, I think over 100 hours of music have been put together for the entire project. Well, I don't think many people have had the opportunity to read both in Italian and English the entire Bible. I mean, laymen like myself, I have had a Catholic education, but I have never really looked into deeper theological studies. This daily contact has definitely had an influence over me, and I believe I will still see its effect in the future.